The Kansas City Chiefs are coming off of an embarrassing Super Bowl loss against the Philadelphia Eagles 40-20 and ended their quest at a three-peat. Now they were the first team in NFL history to make three straight Super Bowls, winning two, and they are at an interesting spot heading into the 2025 season. The offense hasn't been the same now for two seasons. Patrick Mahomes has not put up gaudy numbers in 2 years as well. The defense has been really good, but many around the league are watching and learning and listening, and they're seeing the Chargers, the Broncos, the Raiders make big time moves, potentially ending the Chiefs' reign at the top of the AFC and even potentially at the top of their division. In this video, we're going to break down whether or not this Chiefs team is due for regression in 2025 or if they're just a little bit underrated and flying under the radar at this point. Let's hop right into this video on Blitz Sports Media. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Blitz Sports Media. I'm Ryan Linkletter, aka Blitz Link on socials, and I'm here with Dan, and we are talking the Kansas City Chiefs and whether or not you guys should be buying into the national media consensus of whether or not this team will regress in 2025. Now, we all know the 2024 season was a strong year for the Chiefs, right? They only lost one game with their starters. Mahomes went 15-1. But Dan, that's not exactly the whole story. This team had a lot of one-score games last year. Describe what the situation was like watching these games and whether or not the Chiefs team was actually really good with the amount of one-score wins this team had.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to win in the National Football League. So, I mean, the Chiefs, man, they know how to win games, man. You got 15 at quarterback, he's going to find a way. But I mean, this is why you shouldn't listen to the national media and all those other companies. You should come to Blitz Sports Media because we're going to tell you how it is. The Chiefs are still the Chiefs, and until someone takes them down, they're still on top.
Yeah, and listen, everybody wants to attribute one-score games, getting it done in one-score games and stuff like that. The Chiefs offense last year was not great by any means, and I think everybody watching the team could agree with that if you watch them on a weekly basis. Their biggest problem, honestly, was health on this team, and they didn't have the talent at the tackle position to have a formidable offense like we've seen so many times with Mahomes, Reid, and Kelsey. Now, the tackle position, all right, you rotate Wanya Morris to start the year. You mix in Kingsley Suamaiata at that position, right? You bring in DJ Humphries for a game. And then the right side, you have penalty king himself, Jawan Taylor, who kills a lot of drives with himself, just getting a lot of penalties. But the interior offensive line strong. Tackle position was rough. Receiver, right? Rasheed Rice goes down with injury. Hollywood Brown goes down with injury to start the year. You're relying on a rookie, right, within the first 4 weeks to be your wide receiver one throughout the season. And somehow this team managed to go 15-1, and it's because of their defense. Their defense, once again, last season was phenomenal, led by Chris Jones, who didn't necessarily break the stat sheet, but was just a force in the middle of that defense. Their cornerback room is now led by Trent McDuffie, who absolutely should be a well-known household name at this point. McDuffie's a top 5 corner in the NFL, and they somehow managed to get to the Super Bowl, Dan, in a down season where Travis Kelce did not look the same either. Mahomes had a down year, but they managed to get to a Super Bowl and compete for a three-peat, and it just came up short against the Eagles. Why do you think the biggest reason they came up short is?
Yeah, well, to reiterate your point, the offensive line, man. I mean, the Eagles had depth for days on that D line, and Mahomes was under duress all game. I mean, once you got behind against the Eagles, they're going to come after you, and that's why Mahomes is just running to keep the play alive, man. I mean, it was tough. The Eagles are a really well built team, and it's incredible to think that the Chiefs lost 2 games, and that was two games all year, and that was a down year for them. That's incredible. I mean, I think the Chiefs are so great that we're kind of like just poking holes at them when we don't need to. I mean, they're a dynasty. I mean, they've been the team to beat in the AFC now ever since Mahomes took over as a starter, and I mean, there's nothing we can do, man. I mean, they're just it's such a good team, man. Well run by Andy Reid, and they're just great, man.
Yeah, and I think the interesting part about the Super Bowl is all the weaknesses seem like they just hit all at once, right? It started with the
Yeah,
pass rush right away, where Mahomes was getting pressure early. The defense, they weren't going to play great every single game, and they were playing great the entire year. And the Eagles had a good game plan against them. The offense just couldn't keep up. They got behind early, right? Some sloppy play, and then Mahomes tried to do too much, and then it was over just like that. And they never recovered from that, and it resulted in another embarrassing loss in the Super Bowl for a team that's just been so dominant for so long. And after an embarrassing loss, it's just been the same stories all online that the Chiefs are no longer the Chiefs. And as Pat McAfee always says, the Chiefs is still the Chiefs. And they went in. I honestly think they had a pretty impressive offseason considering the fact you have one of the most expensive quarterbacks. You got one of the most expensive tight ends, actually, the most expensive tight end, the most expensive defensive tackle, and now the most expensive guard, right? They went and let Justin Reed walk. He's a New Orleans Saint now. They traded Joe Tooney to the Chicago Bears and then re signed Trey Smith to the highest deal a guard's ever seen. They added some smaller pieces mixed in there. You mix in some players, like a Christian Fulton for some cornerback depth, which was something that was concerning for this team because they needed a cornerback 3. What do you think of the smaller moves in this free agent class that, allow them to have cap flexibility year in and year out?
Yeah, well, you got to build depth, when you play against a team like the Eagles in the Super Bowl, and just in general, when you want to make a long playoff run, you need depth. They brought in Charles Omenihu, got Jerry Tillery, like you said, Christian Fulton. I like their additions, and then more importantly, I think they had a solid draft as well.
Yeah, and like the thing is with the defense too, is you had a lot of guys that were in and out of that lineup with injuries, stuff like that. Defensively, the draft was big for this team. It felt like in a lot of different ways. They go and add Omar Norman Lott, a guy who's a really strong power rusher, one of the highest graded power rushers according to PFF. And he gets to learn behind Chris Jones there, which is exciting. Ashton Gigliotti from Louisville had a really good sack production. He's going to mix in with Omenihu there, Mike Dana, George Karlaftis, gives them that edge depth. Noel Williams, a cornerback I really like from Cal. But then the biggest one of them all, Dan, Josh Simmons was drafted by the Chiefs. Almost, probably the steal of draft, it feels like. If he's healthy,
Oh yeah.
he would have been the top tackle at the board. But a lot of teams were concerned about his health. But the Chiefs sitting there at 32 knew they needed to take a risk in order to get a left tackle for the first time in Patrick Mahomes' career. And they went out and got Josh Simmons. What do you like about Josh Simmons' tape so much?
Yeah, I mean, like a wise man once said, it's better to be lucky than good. And Josh Simmons, one of the best tackle prospects in the draft, followed him due to injury concerns. But yeah, it's a huge addition for them this year. I got to keep Patrick Mahomes upright. Just after his first preseason game against the Cardinals, I believe he played 11 snaps and he looked real good. The Cardinals' defensive line is legit. I know they didn't play their Josh Sweat and Calais Campbell, but he was still blocking Baron Browning most of the night, and he shut him down. So he looks real solid, and he's going to be a great addition this year.
Yeah, and then on the other tackle side now to address these tackle problems that we talked about, they brought in Jalen Moore from San Francisco, and it was expected, they brought them in prior to the draft, so who knew what they were going to do there, but the belief was he could potentially play left tackle or play right tackle. He was Trent Williams' backup, had good production and limited time in San Francisco, and now he's competing with Jawan Taylor for first team snaps, and it looks like he might just win that battle. And then you form yourself an offensive line of Josh Simmons, Kingsley Suamaiata, or Mike Caliendo, Creed Humphrey, who has been one of the best centers we've seen to start a career, Trey Smith, who's had really good production, and then Jawan Taylor or Jalen Moore at that tackle. This might be one of the best offensive line Patrick Mahomes has ever had in his career if these guys pan out, which is a scary, scary thought for a lot of people out there. And, everybody's looking at, oh man, Rashee Rice might miss 4 to 6 games. Xavier Worthy, he's not great. Marquise Brown's already hurt, right? And Travis Kelce's washed. That's what they say about the receiver core. But we've seen Josh Allen, for example, have MVP level seasons with just a strong offensive line, right? Patrick Mahomes had an MVP season with Juju Smith-Schuster and MVS as his 2 top wide receivers a few seasons ago. The offensive line was in a better shape than it was the last few years. So the offensive line is a big move. You get backfield healthy of Isaiah Pacheco there. They brought in Elijah Mitchell, and they drafted Brashard Smith, a sneaky player from SMU that could be enticing. Is this Chiefs offense poised to be, a top 5 unit again, Dan? Or are you more of the thought that the last 2 years is what we're going to see from this Chiefs team?
No, I think I mean, like I said, man, if you got 50 back there, he can make magic happen. And just my question is the receivers. You got the receiver. You got Xavier Worthy. He's going to be solid. And then I'm blanking on his name. The dude,
Rashid
Rashid
Hollywood.
Rice. Yeah, I'm like, what's his name? Yeah,
You couldn't
he's
think of the
suspended what,
speedy
6
guy's name.
games? Yeah, yeah, Rashid White Rice, man. I mean, obviously he's got the off the field issues. I believe he's suspended 6 games, right?
It hasn't been announced yet, but it'll be announced probably 2 weeks before the season.
Okay,
I mean,
I
I'm
know that's.
assuming he misses the start of the year.
Mhm. Yeah, so I mean that's one of his. I know Mahomes loves throwing to him, and he's talented, but he's got all that going on. And then they got Hollywood Brown. I mean they're still gonna be good, man. They're gonna be solid. They're gonna be solid offensively.
Yeah, and defensively, we take a look at the unit. Obviously, we talked about the Justin Reed subtraction from this team, right? The safety room right now is probably the biggest concern for me. You have Brian Cook, who hasn't necessarily been great over the last few years. Shamari Connor, who's been in and out of the Chiefs lineup, more of a slot type of corner, but he's expected to be their strong safety right now. And Jaden Hicks with a little bit of Mike Edwards. They lost Deion Bush to a season ending injury, and there have been rumors of a Justin Simmons link. We'll see if that ever materializes, but the safeties need to get a little bit better, I think, for this Chiefs team to take that step forward. And defensively, they really can't get much better than what they have been. Right? The run defense last year was one of the best in the NFL. Pass defense, like they needed a cornerback 3. They added Christian Fulton. Or the defensive line, they added more edge help as well. This could be one of the better Chiefs defenses we've seen. And they were really good the past few seasons. But the biggest thing, Dan, is that they play a brutal schedule because they're the Chiefs. They'll always be playing a tough schedule because they're at the top of the conference. One, they're the most, biggest national media grab, however you want to call it. You got TT Swift up there drawing in the views, but they're always going to have a pretty tough schedule. But to start the year, you go with Los Angeles and Philadelphia. That's a tough stretch for them. Do you think that there's a realistic chance we could see this team at 0-2?
Uh, I mean, it's a possibility. I mean, the Chargers always play 'em tough.
They
So you
do.
you you just yeah, they always play him tough, man, and then especially with Harbaugh, he's gonna try to run the ball, be physical with them. So I mean, hey, you never say never, but I mean, yeah, like you said, it is a tough schedule. You got LA, Philly, and then you got a little easier game, but you got to travel to New York, a Sunday night football, and then you got to play Baltimore. I mean, yeah, that is a tough 4 week stretch there at the beginning of the year. So they're
And
gonna
probably
have to
without
be.
Rasheed Rice.
Yeah, oh, yeah, good point, good point. So, yeah, they're gonna have to be, on their point, ready to go to start the season.
Yeah, and that's like, I mean, if you could buy low on a team too, like the Chiefs might be 2-2 after their first 4 games, and everybody's gonna be like, "Man, the Chiefs are so screwed. They're done. They're done. Put a nail in the coffin." And that's where me and Dan are gonna go to DraftKings, lock in a Chiefs Super Bowl bet at the best value you'll find it, and we will be
Oh,
extremely happy with that because they go with Jacksonville's mixed in there. You get, teams like the Colts, the Texans, the Titans, the Broncos, the Raiders, teams that like the Chiefs have been really historically good at. And I kind of want to mention some of this. The AFC West, Dan, for the second time in Mahomes' career, has completely retooled, reloaded, and looks ready to compete for a division title. Denver's in a great spot, who has a great defense. Bo Nix, a goodness rookie year. You add offensive talent at the running back position in RJ Harvey. You had J.K. Dobbins in there as Noel. You got another receiver and Pat Bryant. Good offensive line. The Denver Broncos, they're looking sneaky. The Chargers, Amari and Hampton. You go and add Keenan Allen back on this team. Made a smaller additions on that team. Then the Raiders, we know Pete Carroll's back. Geno Smith is back. You already have Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers. You had Ashton Genty. The defense in Las Vegas, I'm not sure what we're going to get, but the offense at least looks really formidable from the Raiders. What are you expecting to see out of the AFC West? And is this going to be the toughest run the Chiefs have had to win this division?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like you said, it's gonna be a real tough division this year. My prediction is it's gonna come down to, the Chiefs or the Broncos. I mean, to win the AFC West. I believe both teams will make the playoffs, but, the date I got circled, is Christmas Day of week 17, as everyone's enjoying their milk and cookies by the campfire. They got Chiefs, the
Oh,
Denver
man.
Broncos will travel to Kansas City, and I think that it's gonna be a huge game for them because I mean, Broncos are, only ascending, and the Chiefs is, they're still a great team, and it's gonna all come down to that game, I believe.
100%. I mean, listen, we both, I think, agree that the Chiefs are in a better spot than they were heading into last season, which is a scary thought considering the fact they lost 2 games the entire last year. But their schedule's tough. They have a really tough division heading into this year,
Yeah.
and their record might not be as good as it was last season. But this Chiefs team is as good as it's ever been to potentially go out and win a Super Bowl, which is something that obviously is always a goal of Mahomes, Reid, while they still have the chance while Andy's still coaching there. It's a tough division. It's a better team. And I think the disrespect to the Chiefs is unnecessary at this point. Every year we do this where, oh man, Patrick Mahomes is no longer the best quarterback. The Chiefs are no longer the best team in their own division, let alone the conference, right? And it's the same story every year. It's week 8 and the Chiefs are 6-2, and everybody's like, "Oh, here we go again. The Chiefs are unstoppable." Can we just go into a season where we know that the Chiefs are going to be good? Patrick Mahomes is going to be Patrick Mahomes, and can we just embrace that, Dan, or is that too much to ask for because people need clicks?
No, it's too much to ask for. The Chiefs are the money team, man. You got T Swift. You got the face of the league, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, that people need their clicks. But I mean, I'm just looking. I mean, I'm gonna ask you something, little quiz here.
All right.
Since Andy Reid took over in 2013, what was the lowest win total he ever had? Off the top of your head, can you remember?
It's either
What's his
9 or
worst
10 wins.
season?
9 or 10 wins.
Okay, yeah, 9 wins.
Yeah.
9 wins is is his worst season. He went 9-7 in 2014. That is ridiculous. I mean, this man's consistent. All they do is win games. They find ways to win. And I mean, you got one of the best quarterbacks to ever walk on the gridiron, Patrick Mahomes. If he stays healthy, they're gonna have a great year. They're gonna be just fine.
Yeah, 100%. Let us know down in the comment section below. Is this Chiefs team actually going to be the Chiefs, or are they a little bit underrated heading into the year? Let us know. Hit that subscribe button for more Blitz Sports Media content, and me and Dan will catch you guys next time.